Okay, so you've given some fascinating source material today. We're looking at something, well, maybe the closest thing the Foundation has to a real fountain of youth.
We're talking about SCP-006, the regenerative spring.
And our goal here isn't just to, describe what it does, which is already mind-blowing. We really want to unpack the why behind the containment.
Exactly. Why these incredibly elaborate, almost paranoid security measures are in place to hide something designated safe.
That's the immediate head-scratcher, isn't it? It's
Right.
classified as safe, which usually means, predictable, containable.
Right. It's not going to suddenly breach containment on its own or cause some catastrophic physical event.
But then you look at the procedures.
And they are intense, deadly even. Immediate termination for accidental contact, that doesn't sound very safe.
Okay, let's get into that, because that contradiction is, I think, the core of this whole thing. The real danger isn't physical, is it?
Not in the usual sense. The danger is the knowledge. It's about preventing anyone, especially the personnel right there, from understanding what SCP-006 actually does.
So it's all about information control. Absolute secrecy, not stopping a monster, but stopping an idea almost.
Precisely. The procedures are designed to compartmentalize, to mislead. They're worried about the secret getting out, and maybe even more worried about what happens if just one person gains these abilities.
All right, let's start with the basics, the source itself. Where is this thing?
It's surprisingly mundane location-wise, just a very small spring, located about 60 kilometers west of Astrakhan in Russia.
And the Foundation's known about it for a long time.
Oh, yeah. The sources say since the 19th century, so over 100 years. But they couldn't actually lock it down, secure it properly until 1991.
1991. Why so late?
Well, think about the politics of that region, especially through the 20th century. Lots of instability, changing governments. It just wasn't feasible to establish the kind of control they needed until then.
And how did they secure it? It's pretty clever, actually.
It is. Instead of building some obvious high-security bunker that screams top secret, they built a chemical factory.
A whole working chemical factory right on top of the spring site.
Yeah, a fully operational one, which is, when you think about it, a massive undertaking. You've got logistics, supplies, waste, staff.
Staff who are presumably kept completely in the dark.
Completely. They're laborers, likely under Foundation or maybe Russian state control, who genuinely believe they're working at a somewhat hazardous industrial plant.
But why a factory? Wouldn't that just create more risk? More people coming and going, more chances for a leak? Literally and figuratively.
It seems counterintuitive, doesn't it? But it's also perfect camouflage. A heavily guarded research site in the middle of nowhere. Suspicious.
Right. Sticks out like a sore thumb.
But a chemical factory in an industrial area, it just blends in. And crucially, the idea of toxicity and hazardous materials fits perfectly with the misinformation they feed the staff. It makes the cover story believable. Ah, okay. So the factory itself becomes part of the deception. Clever. And the deception starts with the liquid itself, right? What is it chemically?
Well, that's the other layer. Back in 1902, they analyzed it.
Yeah.
The result.
Just water.
Basically.
Yeah.
Simple mineral water. Chemically, nothing special detected. You wouldn't know it from a standard lab test.
But it has this property the source material calls health, which sounds incredibly understated.
Deeply understated. That word doesn't even begin to cover what this liquid actually does to living organisms, especially humans.
Okay, so let's unpack that. Chemically, it's water. Biologically, it's something else entirely. What are the effects?
The first one is foundational. Ingesting it gives the body the ability to regenerate DNA damaged by the process of duplication itself.
Wait, so it fixes the errors that accumulate when cells divide, the stuff that leads to aging.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
It seems to bypass or repair the mechanisms related to the Hayflick limit, the finite number of times a normal human cell population will divide before cell division stops.
Right.
It's like hitting reset on cellular aging. That alone is staggering. Biological immortality, potentially.
Potentially, yes. And it doesn't stop there. The second effect is a heightened excitement of cellular duplication. Cells aren't just being repaired perfectly, they're also dividing more rapidly.
Which leads directly to the third point, I imagine. Tissue repair.
Vastly improved repair of damaged tissue. Think super regeneration. Wounds closing almost instantly, damaged organs repairing themselves at an accelerated rate. Normal healing processes become almost irrelevant.
Okay, perfect DNA repair, rapid cell division, super healing, and the fourth effect, The sources use a pretty strong word here.
They do. A frightening increase in the effectiveness of the human immune system.
Frightening? Why frightening? Wouldn't a super immune system be purely good?
Maybe frightening because it's so absolute. We're talking about an immune system that doesn't just fight off infections. It identifies and destroys virtually all hostile bacteria and viral agents immediately. It's almost unnervingly perfect.
Like an impenetrable biological shield.
Something like that. The animal testing confirms this. When they exposed hostile microbes to the liquid directly.
Destroyed instantly.
Instantly. But interestingly, it's not universal. The effects didn't show up in many reptiles and birds they tested.
So it's specific, not just any life form.
Seems targeted biologically, but higher primates, monkeys, apes.
They got the same benefits as humans, the full package.
The full reality-bending package. Which brings us back to why the Foundation is so incredibly careful.
Right.
Section 2, the containment strategy. And like we said, the main goal isn't keeping the water in, it's keeping the knowledge secret.
Exactly. Deny or hide knowledge of the effects, even from the people interacting with it daily. The whole security apparatus is built around this principle, starting with Procedure 1, physical interaction, those suits they wear, modified Class SES B and C suits, biological, nuclear, chemical protection, top of the line, but modified.
And they don't just trust the personnel to suit up properly. There's that test.
The submersion test. Before any procedure involving the spraying, personnel in their suits are literally dunked into a tank of water, looking for bubbles.
Any air bubbles mean a leak, a potential breach. If they see bubbles, the whole thing is called off immediately. That's how critical maintaining seal integrity is.
Because one drop could change everything for that individual. But the physical barrier is only half of it. The psychological game is maybe even more important.
Absolutely. The misinformation briefings, there are different versions, right? SCP-006B and SCP-006C.
Yeah, and regular personnel only ever see those. What do they say?
They reinforce the cover story. They talk about high toxicity, dangerous chemical compounds, maybe radioactive elements. Whatever lie supports the idea that this water is incredibly hazardous to touch.
So the staff are genuinely scared of it, but for completely the wrong reason.
Precisely. And the real briefing, SCP-006A, the one that explains the regenerative properties.
Restricted. Only O5 council members get to see that one, the absolute top tier. This strict compartmentalization is key, and it leads into Procedure 2, surveillance and the decoy trigger. Everything is watched, constantly, by command staff who do know the truth.
Right. And if the worst happens, if there's a suit breach, actual contact.
The commander doesn't yell, "Oh no, he touched the immortality water." No. They announce a code, Procedure 006, Shy 12. Bath. And the personnel have been pre-briefed on what they think that code means.
They've been told 006-I-12 signifies a catastrophic leak of the supposed toxins. Extreme danger. Immediate evacuation required.
So they panic and run, thinking they're escaping death.
When, in fact, the person who made contact has just received the ultimate biological upgrade. It buys the command time to enact the next, much darker phase of containment. It's a brilliant, terrifying psychological trap.
It really is. And even just getting a sample of this stuff. Procedure 3. It's not easy.
Not at all. You need approval from 3 different O5 council members. 3.
3 of the most powerful people in the organization have to sign off just to collect some water.
And when they do collect it, it's transported in a quad sealant container, 4 layers of seals, under heavy armed guard.
Treating mineral water like it's a suitcase nuke. Because in terms of its potential impact.
It might as well be. The potential disruption is astronomical. Which brings us, unfortunately, to the ultimate consequence. Procedure 4.
This is where it gets really dark. What happens if someone does make contact, despite all the precautions, after they trigger Shy 12 and are presumably apprehended?
They are confined, studied, presumably, to understand the effects firsthand, maybe gather more data.
Okay, confinement makes sense. You wouldn't want someone with those abilities just wandering around. But what happens after the studies?
After sufficient studies, they are terminated.
Terminated. Just like that. Why not permanent isolation? Secure containment for life. I mean, they're essentially immune to disease, aging.
That's likely why termination is deemed necessary. How do you indefinitely contain someone who might never die naturally, who could potentially outlive generations of guards, containment technology, even the Foundation itself?
The long-term risk is too high. A perpetual security risk.
Exactly. An immortal individual becomes a permanent potential vulnerability. They could be captured, coerced, or their existence could become known. Termination, however brutal, is seen as the only way to absolutely guarantee the secret remains contained. It's a chilling calculation.
And the method of termination, The source material specific, isn't it? Because of the regeneration.
Very specific. Standard methods won't work, or at least aren't reliable enough. Bullets, poisons. The regeneration might overcome them.
So what do they use?
Incineration. Total destruction by fire. It's detailed in a separate file, SCP-006 Tarot 5, and noted as the most effective method.
They have to reduce the body to ash to ensure no viable cells remain, to truly extinguish that regenerative potential. That speaks volumes about the power they're dealing with. It absolutely does. You need overwhelming, obliterating force to counteract the absolute life granted by the spring. It's the final, violent enforcement of the containment doctrine. The secret is paramount, even over miraculous life itself, the ultimate cost of keeping the ultimate secret.
The life of the operative, who just gained potential immortality, is sacrificed almost instantly to maintain the lie that the site is merely toxic. It's quite something.
So let's try to wrap our heads around this. We had SCP-006. On the surface, a small spring near Astrakhan, chemically just mineral water.
But biologically, it's a source of near-absolute regeneration, reverses aging at the DNA level, grants incredible healing, perfects the immune system.
And it's contained not by force fields or magic, but by layers of lies. B&NC suits tested with water submersion.
Misinformation briefings painting it as deadly poison.
Code phrases triggering false evacuation alarms.
And ultimately enforced by the guarantee of termination by incineration for anyone who breaks the code of silence, even accidentally.
The core takeaway seems to be that for the Foundation, controlled ignorance is preferable to uncontrolled life extension. The containment is entirely about managing the knowledge.
It's a cage built for the mind, not the body. They've tricked their own people into fearing the greatest biological gift imaginable. The extreme measures, especially the incineration, it suggests the real fear isn't just the power itself, but the loss of control it represents.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you, the listener. If the whole point is just hiding the knowledge of these effects,
Then what does the absolute necessity of incineration, total fiery destruction upon exposure, tell us about the deeper implications? If this gift of health and potential immortality must be instantly snuffed out to maintain order,
what does that suggest about humanity's readiness, or maybe our fundamental inability to handle such power responsibly? What are the broader dangers the Foundation truly fears?
something to think about. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
We'll see you next time.